Most people don't stay poor because they lack opportunity. They stay poor because they repeat habits that guarantee it. Poverty is rarely a lack of money. It is a pattern of thinking, repeated daily, without awareness. If you truly want to change your income, your influence, and your identity, you must first stop doing what keeps you where you are. Most people wake up and immediately begin consuming. They consume opinions, entertainment, news, gossip, distractions. Before the sun has fully risen, their minds are already crowded with other people's thoughts. And by the end of the day, they are mentally exhausted, yet they have created nothing. Consumption feels productive, but it is not the same as production. Watching success does not create success. Studying wealth without applying it does not generate wealth. Talking about ideas is not the same as building them. Production is different. Production requires effort. It demands intention. It forces you to give something of yourself, your creativity, your discipline, your time, your focus. And that is why so few people choose it. But here is the truth. The world rewards producers. A producer builds value. A producer solves problems. A producer leaves something behind that did not exist before. And value is what the world pays for. From a spiritual perspective, this principle is not new. Every sacred teaching reminds us that we are created to build, to serve, to multiply what has been entrusted to us. You are not given talents to bury them in comfort. You are given gifts to develop them and expand them. There is accountability in that. When you stand before your Creator, the question will not be how much you consumed. It will be what you did with what you were given. Did you grow it? Did you serve others with it? Did you strive? There is something deeply emotional about this realization. Time is passing. Days are not waiting. Each hour spent scrolling, comparing, and passively absorbing is an hour that could have been invested in building your future. And once time leaves, it does not return. Think about the pain of looking back years from now and realizing you watched others build what you could have built. Imagine the regret of knowing the ability was inside you, but you chose comfort instead of contribution. That kind of regret weighs heavily on the soul. Production builds dignity. When you create, you respect yourself. When you produce, you feel worthy. When you build something from nothing, you align with the divine principle of creation itself. Even small acts of production change your identity. Writing one page, learning one skill, starting one project, making one call, serving one client. These are seeds. And seeds, when nurtured consistently, become harvests. Consumption drains. Production energizes. Consumption makes you a spectator. Production makes you a participant. The poor mindset asks, what can I get today? The prosperous mindset asks, what can I build today? Shift that question and you shift your destiny. Choose to be a creator in a world full of consumers. Choose to build when others scroll. Choose to give when others take. Choose to plant when others wait for harvest. Because the measure of your life will not be in what you absorbed, but in what you produced, what you multiplied, and what you left behind through the work of your hands and the discipline of your heart. Blame is easy. It protects the ego. It gives you a reason to stay the same. When something goes wrong, you can point outward at the economy, at your parents, at your boss, at society, at luck, and for a moment, you feel relieved. It is not your fault. You are a victim of circumstance, but that relief is temporary, and it is expensive. Blame costs you power. The moment you blame, you surrender control. You say, my life is determined by forces outside of me. And if that is true, then you are helpless. If others control your outcomes, then you must wait for them to change before you can change. Responsibility is different. Responsibility says, this is mine. This result is mine. This mistake is mine. This delay is mine. This growth is mine. And the moment you say that, you take your power back. From a spiritual perspective, responsibility is maturity of the soul. Every human being will stand accountable for their actions, their choices, their effort. We are not judged for what we were given, but for what we did with what we were given. That is a sobering thought. It awakens something inside you. You may not control where you started. You may not control who supported you, You may not control every circumstance, but you always control your response, and your response shapes your destiny. There is something deeply emotional about realizing that your life is in your hands. It is frightening because now you cannot hide. But it is also liberating because now you are not stuck. Blame says, "Why is this happening to me?" Responsibility asks, "What can I do about it?" Blame keeps wounds open. Responsibility begins healing. When you take responsibility, you stop wasting energy complaining. You stop rehearsing excuses. You stop seeking sympathy. Instead, you begin seeking solutions. You ask harder questions. What skill am I missing? Where did I lack discipline? What habit must I change? Who must I become? Those questions are uncomfortable. They challenge pride. They expose weakness. But they also create growth. Imagine looking back years from now and realizing you could have advanced sooner if you had simply stopped blaming and started adjusting. Imagine the weight of knowing that pride delayed your progress. Responsibility builds strength. It develops character. It earns respect from others and from yourself. Every successful person reaches a moment where they decide, no more excuses, no more pointing fingers, no more waiting for fairness. They decide that whether it is fair or not, whether it is easy or not, whether it feels good or not, it is theirs to improve. And when you truly accept responsibility, something powerful happens. You become proactive, you prepare, you learn, you grow, you act with intention. Because you understand that your future is not a lottery ticket. It is a reflection of your daily choices. Replace blame with responsibility, and you replace weakness with strength. Replace excuses with ownership, and you replace stagnation with progress. The day you stop saying "they did this to me" and start saying "I will do something about this" is the day your life begins to change direction. Emotion is powerful. It can inspire you, excite you, and move you to take action. But it can also mislead you, distract you, and convince you to quit at the first sign of discomfort. If you build your life on emotion, you build it on something that changes by the hour. Some mornings you feel motivated. Some mornings you do not. Some days you feel confident. Some days doubt whispers loudly. If your actions depend on how you feel, your progress will always be unstable. Discipline is different. Discipline does not ask how you feel. It asks what must be done. It wakes up when it is tired. It works when it is inconvenient. It continues when excitement fades. Emotion says, "I don't feel like it today." Discipline says, "Do it anyway." There is a deep spiritual truth in this. Every sacred path teaches self-control. Fasting teaches control over desire. Prayer teaches consistency regardless of mood. Charity teaches giving even when it feels difficult. These practices are not based on emotion, they are based on commitment. You are not rewarded for good intentions. You are rewarded for consistent action. And there is something emotional about realizing how many dreams die because someone waited to feel ready. How many goals remain unfinished because the excitement disappeared. How many talents are buried under the excuse, "I just wasn't in the mood." Mood is temporary. Destiny is permanent. Imagine standing before your Creator and knowing you had potential, but you only used it on the days you felt inspired. Imagine explaining that you delayed your growth because it was uncomfortable. That discomfort was part of your refinement. That resistance was shaping your strength. Discipline builds trust with yourself. Every time you act despite not feeling like it, you prove that your word matters. You prove that your commitments are stronger than your cravings. That builds self-respect. And self-respect builds confidence. Emotion seeks comfort. Discipline seeks growth. Emotion chases pleasure. Discipline builds purpose. When you rely on emotion, you will start strong and fade quickly. When you rely on discipline, you will start steady and grow unstoppable. There will be days when you are tired, days when doubt speaks loudly, days when distractions call your name. That is the moment discipline must answer. Because success does not require you to feel powerful. It requires you to act powerful. And the person who learns to move forward regardless of emotion becomes dangerous to limitation, unstoppable in progress, and aligned with the higher calling placed within their soul. Most people move through life asking one question: what can I get? What can I earn? What can I receive? What can I gain? And while there is nothing wrong with earning, there is something deeply limiting about living only to take. The world does not reward need. It rewards contribution. If you want more income, create more value. If you want more respect, offer more service. If you want more opportunity, solve more problems. Value is the foundation of wealth. A person who gives more than they take becomes indispensable. A person who solves problems others avoid becomes rare, and rarity is rewarded. From a spiritual perspective, this principle is sacred. We are taught that giving increases provision, that charity does not decrease wealth but multiplies it, that serving others is not a loss, it is an investment in both this life and the next. The Creator loves those who benefit others. Think about that. Your hands were not created only to receive. They were created to build, to serve, to uplift. Your knowledge was not given to impress people. It was given to improve people. There is something deeply emotional about realizing that the measure of your life will not be in what you accumulated, but in what you contributed. One day, your possessions will mean nothing, but the value you created in the lives of others will echo beyond you. When you enter a room, do you add value or absorb it? When you join a company, do you strengthen it or depend on it? When you build relationships, do you enrich them or drain them? These questions shape destiny. Creating value requires effort. It requires preparation. It requires you to develop skills, to refine your character, to show up consistently. It demands that you think beyond yourself, but it also builds something powerful inside you: significance. Taking makes you dependent. Creating makes you powerful. Taking feeds temporary desire. Creating feeds lasting purpose. Imagine the regret of reaching the end of your journey and realizing you spent most of it asking for more instead of becoming more. Imagine knowing you had the capacity to uplift others, to innovate, to serve, but you settled for consumption and comfort. Value creation is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is simple, doing your work with excellence, being reliable, offering encouragement, learning a skill that makes someone's life easier, showing integrity when no one is watching. Small value, repeated daily, becomes extraordinary impact. And here is the hidden secret. When you consistently create more value than you take, you no longer need to chase success. Success begins to chase you, because markets reward value, people reward value, and heaven records value. Shift your focus from what you deserve to what you can deliver. Shift your mindset from entitlement to contribution. Ask yourself each morning not how much you can gain, but how much you can give. And watch how your influence grows, your respect deepens, your income expands, and your sense of purpose strengthens as you become the kind of person who leaves every place better than they found it through the discipline of contribution and the commitment to create more than you consume. The moment a person believes they know enough, growth stops. Not because opportunity disappears, but because curiosity does. Many people treat education as a phase. They study for exams, earn a certificate, celebrate graduation, and then slowly close the book on learning. Years pass. Industries change. Technology evolves. Markets shift. But their mindset remains the same, and the world moves ahead without them. Learning is not a season. It is a lifestyle. The most successful individuals in any field share one invisible habit: they never stop studying. They read when others scroll. They ask questions when others assume. They invest in knowledge when others invest only in comfort, because they understand a simple truth: income rarely exceeds personal development for long. From a spiritual perspective, seeking knowledge is an act of worship. The pursuit of understanding has always been honored. Wisdom refines character. Knowledge strengthens faith. Awareness deepens gratitude. A mind that continues to learn remains humble before its creator, recognizing how vast the universe is and how little one truly knows. There is something emotional about realizing how much potential remains untapped simply because we stopped learning. How many dreams were delayed because someone refused to upgrade their skills? How many opportunities were missed because pride said, "I already know enough"? How many doors remained closed because curiosity, faded knowledge, expands vision? When you learn, your thinking stretches. When your thinking stretches, your decisions improve. And when your decisions improve, your results transform. Learning builds confidence, not the loud, arrogant kind, but the quiet confidence that comes from competence. The confidence that says, I can figure this out. I can adapt. I can grow. And in a rapidly changing world, adaptability is survival. Lifelong learning does not always require classrooms. It requires intention, reading books, listening to mentors, studying your craft, reflecting on mistakes, seeking feedback, asking better questions. Every new skill increases your value. Every lesson reduces your fear. Every piece of wisdom strengthens your foundation. There will be moments when learning feels uncomfortable, when you feel behind, when you feel ignorant. But humility in learning today prevents humiliation tomorrow. Imagine reaching the later years of your life with the same mindset you have today, the same knowledge, the same understanding. Imagine the regret of knowing you had access to books, mentors, resources, but chose distraction instead. Growth is a responsibility. Your mind was designed to expand. Your intellect was entrusted to you for development. The more you learn, the more capable you become of serving others, building wealth, leading wisely, and fulfilling the purpose placed within you. A stagnant mind produces stagnant results. But a curious mind, a disciplined mind, a learning mind continues to rise. Commit not to temporary knowledge, but to permanent growth. Commit to being a student of life. Commit to upgrading yourself continuously so that your value, your insight, and your contribution increase year after year. Shaping a destiny that reflects both wisdom and relentless personal expansion, choose growth over comfort. Comfort is seductive. It whispers softly. It tells you to rest a little longer, to delay the hard conversation, to avoid the difficult task, to stay where things feel familiar and safe. Comfort promises peace, but often delivers stagnation. Growth is different. Growth stretches you. It challenges your habits. It exposes your weaknesses. It forces you to confront parts of yourself you would rather ignore. And because of that, most people avoid it. But here is the truth. Nothing grows in comfort zones. A muscle strengthens only when it is stretched. A mind expands only when it is challenged. A soul matures only when it is tested. Even spiritually, elevation comes through trial. Patience is developed in hardship. Faith is strengthened in uncertainty. Character is purified in difficulty. You were not created for a life of ease alone. You were created for elevation. There is something deeply emotional about realizing how many dreams die in comfort. How many talents remain buried because the couch was softer than the challenge. How many callings were ignored because growth required sacrifice. Comfort feels good today. Growth feels good forever. Comfort protects your present identity. Growth builds your future identity. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you send a message to yourself. This is enough. Do not stretch further. Do not aim higher. Do not risk failure. And slowly, your standards shrink. But when you choose growth, even when it is uncomfortable, something powerful happens inside you. You develop resilience. You develop courage. You develop discipline. You begin to respect yourself at a deeper level because you know you are not running from your potential. From a spiritual lens, hardship is not punishment, it is preparation. Many of the strongest believers, leaders, and reformers were refined through difficulty. Their comfort was removed so their capacity could increase. Their ease was interrupted so their endurance could grow. Imagine standing before your Creator one day and realizing you chose ease every time growth knocked on your door. Imagine explaining why you stayed small when you were designed for more. Growth demands sacrifice. It may require waking earlier. It may require studying longer. It may require distancing yourself from negative influences. It may require risking embarrassment, criticism, even temporary failure. But on the other side of that discomfort is expansion. Expansion in income, expansion in wisdom, expansion in strength, expansion in faith. Comfort keeps you safe. Growth makes you powerful. The choice appears small in daily moments: one more page, one more rep, one more attempt, one more difficult step, but over time, those small decisions separate ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. Do not pray for a bigger life while clinging to smaller habits. Do not ask for elevation while refusing refinement. Do not desire impact while resisting the pressure that creates it. Choose the path that stretches you. Choose the option that scares you a little. Choose the challenge that forces you to rise. Because the life you desire exists just beyond the boundary of your comfort, waiting for the version of you who is willing to endure temporary discomfort in exchange for permanent growth. You may possess talent. You may carry ambition. You may even have discipline. But if your environment constantly pulls you backward, your progress will always feel heavier than it should. Environment is invisible influence. It shapes your standards. It shapes your conversations. It shapes what feels normal. If you sit in rooms where people complain daily, complaining becomes normal. If you surround yourself with those who settle, settling feels acceptable. If your circle laughs at ambition, eventually you will silence your own dreams just to belong. Association is powerful. Conversations program belief. Belief directs action. Action determines destiny. From a spiritual perspective, companionship has always been emphasized. You are encouraged to walk with the righteous, to seek the wise, to avoid the corrupting influence of negative company. Why? Because hearts are influenced, souls are shaped, character is contagious. You become what you are consistently exposed to. There is something deeply emotional about realizing that some of your limitations are not personal weakness, they are environmental conditioning. You adapted to survive in spaces that were too small for your calling. You minimized your vision to maintain comfort in familiar circles. But growth requires courage. Sometimes upgrading your life means upgrading your circle. It means seeking mentors who challenge you, friends who hold you accountable, communities that inspire discipline rather than distraction. This does not mean arrogance. It means alignment. If you want financial growth, spend time with people who discuss investments, skills, and opportunity. If you want spiritual growth, spend time with those who strengthen your faith and remind you of your higher purpose. If you want personal growth, spend time with individuals who demand excellence from themselves. Environment also includes your physical space. Is your room organized or chaotic? Is your workspace inspiring or draining? Is your digital environment filled with knowledge or noise? Your surroundings silently shape your mindset. A cluttered space clouds thinking. A focused environment sharpens execution. Imagine looking back years from now and realizing you stayed connected to people who doubted you more than they supported you. Imagine recognizing that your potential was delayed not because you lacked ability, but because you lacked the right atmosphere. That realization carries weight. Upgrading your environment may feel uncomfortable. Some relationships may change. Some conversations may end. Some habits may be left behind. But elevation always demands separation from what no longer serves your growth. Do not confuse loyalty with stagnation. Do not sacrifice your destiny to preserve temporary comfort. You can love people without adopting their limitations. Seek rooms where your goals are normal. Seek circles where discipline is respected. Seek mentors who stretch your thinking. Because when your environment supports your ambition, progress accelerates. When your associations reinforce excellence, standards rise. And when your surroundings reflect growth, your identity begins to transform in alignment with the higher version of yourself you were always meant to become. The difference between poverty and prosperity is rarely dramatic. It is subtle. It is daily. It is habitual. You do not rise to the level of your wishes. You rise to the level of your standards. Decide today what you will no longer tolerate from yourself. Because the moment you stop doing what keeps you poor, you begin building what makes you free.